There's a new double O agent in MI6. Newly minted Agent 007 James Bond has been tasked with joining a high-stakes poker game in Montenegro. His goal? Win the game, defeat a terrorist banker named Lashif, and stop him from funding global terrorism. This weekend sees Daniel Craig end his run as James Bond with No Time to Die, but it began in 2006 with Casino Royale. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
I'm Austin Johnson.
And this is Filmgazm. Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to a special Filmgazm. We're interrupting our cycle of movie picking to celebrate the beginning of Daniel Craig's James Bond run with what we think is his best film, Casino Royale. I'm joined today by Oscar Sunday host Austin Johnson, who's here to help me figure out why Casino Royale may just be the definitive Bond film. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Last time I was on Filmgazm was episode 150.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And I obviously had a blast, but it's good to be back with a movie that I just have a lot to say about. I love this one so much. I think it's, like you said, the definitive Bond film, the most entertaining Bond film, probably my favorite Bond villain, and I just have so much fun with this movie. And last night while watching it, I was like, well, I mean, are we going to be able to record this in one night? There's so much to say about how cool it is.
Yeah, this is a special one. I was introduced to the Bond films around this time. It was, I think I talked a bit about this when we did Dr. No.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, so I'll recap a little bit. Die Another Day was my first Bond film. I got it for my birthday from my uncle. Gave me a stack of films he thought I would like. And Die Another Day was in that stack. And I watched it and I thought, this is goofy, but I am into this.
Yeah.
From there, I think then we went and saw Casino Royale at the movies, and I'm like, all right, I'm a James Bond fan. And then from then I got like the collections for Christmas and just marathoned these things, and I never stopped. I've seen all the Bond films at least 4 or 5 times a piece. It's one of my favorite franchises. I can find something to like in pretty much all of them. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, I pretty much kicked to the curb, but the rest of them, there's something to find in all of these films, whether it be a performance or a stunt or a song or a score or a villain. There's always something with each of these films. And for a lot of people, Daniel Craig is the only James Bond. He's this generation's Bond, and a lot of people haven't bothered with the old ones and are not looking forward to the next ones because it's not him. I know some people, like I know my members of my family might be done with Bond because Craig's not doing it anymore.
That's hard. That's hard because I think a lot of people had that idea in their head when Daniel Craig was announced as the new Bond in 2005 or so, before the film came out. And I have to see, this also happened with like Heath Ledger's Joker in Dark Knight, where people were like, what? Oh, that's stupid. Like, he just played a cowboy in Brokeback Mountain. Why would you choose him? It's like, well, these people are talented. They're actors for a reason. They're able to be chameleons and do different things. And I can't wait to see who's going to get, who's going to be at the helm, who's going to be the next 007. And I think the list of people, as it keeps kind of growing and the wish list keeps growing, I'm all in on whoever it's going to be. I'm just ready to see that new one, because I do think Casino Royale is my favorite and probably the best Bond I've ever seen. So I'm excited to see what the first one is going to be once he's gone. Are they going to go for a guy who's in his 40s where he can only maybe do 3, maybe 4 movies? Are they going to go with a guy who's in his 30s where they can like, all right, let's do this thing. Let's do like we did with Bond, where we go 15 years of making 5 films. That's what I can't wait for, those kind of calls. I can't wait.
Jesus, it's been 15 years since Casino Royale.
15 years.
5 films. That's crazy.
We're at a 15-year anniversary of this movie, and it's crazy because it feels like it could have came out like yesterday. It's really wild.
That's incredible. So for today's episode, we're going to kind of go through the transition between Brosnan and Craig, the backlash, the legacy, and just what Casino Royale represents to us. It's going to be a fun fucking episode. I'm excited.
Yeah, as we should be. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So back in the distant past of 2002, Eon Productions and MGM released Die Another Day, Pierce Brosnan's fourth Bond adventure. Halle Berry, Toby Stevens, North Korea, face transplant that didn't really make a lot of sense, space laser, John Cleese's Q. It's not perfect, but it's fun. Invisible car, like it's a ridiculous movie. But it was the 20th. It was the 20th Bond film. There were references to the previous 19 all throughout that film, little things, lines of dialogue, props in the background. And you could tell there was an attempt to, celebrate the legacy of this franchise. It was a box office success, grossed about 400 million, but it was critically reviled, and Bond fans fucking hated it. This film is a joke to the Bond community, which is, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's the worst Bond film. I think if you could just turn yourself off for a little bit, it's a fun movie. So I'm pretty much, I'm alone in that camp. There's not a lot of people will defend Die Another Day.
I will.
Oh, okay.
I will because as like a teenager watching that one, I'll be honest, Halle Berry just kind of stole my heart. So it's popcorn. That's fine. That's fine. It's okay for that to happen every now and again, especially with an action film about a secret agent who can do all kinds of stuff. So I don't think people should go into these Bond movies with these crazy expectations. So when it does work out like Casino Royale, you're just rewarded. You're like, oh fuck, I got a real good movie here with a pretty awesome plot and great performances. But on base level, it's okay to just kind of, like you said, turn off for a couple hours and just watch a movie and just have fun.
Yeah. Does Die Another Day feature a scene where Bond takes the hood off of a snowmobile, ties it to a parachute, and surfs a wave caused by a space laser that's destroying the Arctic? Yeah, it does.
Kick ass.
In front of some of the worst green screen I've ever seen.
Yeah. But
I don't, it's also got a great scene where Bond is literally captured by North Koreans and tortured for 2 years. And that was a pretty dark place to go for 2002, Brosnan Bond. But everyone kind of gave up when the invisible car showed up. And that really kind of encouraged the Broccolis, or I guess Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson to kind of bring this franchise back to its roots, kind of take away a lot of the goofy shit and try to make a pretty straightforward, streamlined spy adventure for the next Bond. Brosnan stepped down from the role in 2004 after trying to get, he was kind of strung along for they were thinking about doing a fifth film with him, but they weren't happy with Die Another Day, the backlash, and it was successful, but it wasn't as successful as they wanted. And eventually they just, Eon and Brosnan parted ways. So the search for the next Bond was on. Some actors considered by Eon and the producers were Carl Urban, Ewan McGregor, a young Henry Cavill, who only didn't get it because he was 22. He was the only other guy seriously considered instead of Daniel Craig. But 22 years old, bit young for a seasoned, hardened killer.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be really cool though. I would love to see someone like in their 20s, kind of like at the beginning of their, prime, get something like this and just change everything we know about him. Because it would be cool to see Bond, at the beginning of Casino Royale, we see that he's got his license to kill. He's, gets 2 kills right away at the in the first 5 minutes of the movie. We see one brutal kill, and we see one just kind of like very clever, very smart kill, kind of like an homage to what Bond's capable of in the past in different films with Connery and Dalton and, Roger Moore and those guys. So that's really cool. But I think it'd be awesome to see a Bond without the license to kill and kind of the aging process of becoming hardened and what made him so hard and what made him just calloused. It would take a lot of films, I think, or maybe it would take like a mini series type thing, where they're like, let's change it up. But I'm always a fan of them just making movies out of this, and that's it.
I get where you're coming from, but there's certain characters that I think if you tell too much of their story, it ruins a little bit of the mystery. Like
it can, yeah.
Like I look at the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's movie, love it or hate it, we now know where he came from. If this is the story you're going to choose. Bond, I feel like the guy, his future speaks more than his past. I think that we don't need to know where he came from. We just need to know that he's here. Like you kind of, and the Craig films kind of do that. They show you the means and the environment that shapes someone who becomes a 00. Someone who, like, as he says, is half monk, half hitman. Someone who can make those split second decisions and come out on top. I couldn't do it. You couldn't do it.
No.
But somebody who comes from, trauma can put his emotions aside and get the job done. And I don't think we necessarily need to know what that trauma was. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I like that. Daniel Craig was 38 years old when the first one came out, Casino Royale. And that just kind of makes sense, right? Is to pick someone who's right around 40, that is a bit callous, that has those aging qualities about their face, whether it be, just the way their eyes kind of sag just from living life and things like that. I think Craig is probably the perfect age to properly do Bond and start it off with a bang.
It's a bit of a tough, avenue to go, because you got to find somebody who's young enough to helm a franchise for the foreseeable future, but also old enough to believe that this guy has been through the ringer and is capable of this shit. So it's hard to find that balance. But they found it in Craig. And I think, honestly, every Bond has their own, kind of fan base. They all bring something to the character. But Craig was really brutal. Like, he was less, sleeping with, hot chicks and drinking martinis and more just like murder. And I kind of like that. Like, he was very much just, I'll do the job and I'm going to do it my way. And I don't know. You're inevitably going to compare all the Bonds to the other actors. And I just think Craig has this brutality that the rest of them just didn't have. But that could also be, they were made in the 60s and 70s and you couldn't go that far.
Yeah. And, so Sean Connery goes from 62, Dr. No, to 1967. You only live twice. It's a 5-movie run. And then he comes back again for 1971, Diamonds Are Forever. Fantastic movie. So that's a 9-year little gap there. Roger Moore goes Live and Let Die, 1973, to 1985's A View to a Kill, 1985, 12 years. Then you move on to Timothy Dalton, who does a couple, 1987, The Living Daylights and License to Kill, 1987, 1989. And then you get Brosnan for 7 years, from 95 to 2002. Craig is the longest running one of all of them. He has the longest tenure, and it just makes sense to me. He is the best one, in my opinion, at playing Bond, and at his physique is crazy. And you believe, as ridiculous as some of the stuff is, when he's, at the beginning of Casino Royale, when you have a really cool chase, when he's in Africa and you see him just like jumping off stuff and landing and like, what? But you look at him and you're like, that guy's fucking jacked and he's a freak of nature. And he is calloused. Like, you can like see it in his eyes. They're glazed over. Like, Daniel Craig is perfect for an action star. I think he could have played, he could be fucking Ethan Hunt, Mission Impossible. He could be Jason Bourne. He could be James Bond. Like, this guy's just bred for this kind of stuff. And I don't think the other guys are kind of like weak. Like, dare I say, they're just not nearly as imposing, in my opinion. Craig is like, that guy could snap me like a twig. But like Roger Moore, come on. That guy, I could take that guy on. Like, I could take on Roger Moore. Pierce Brosnan, whatever. Sean Connery, just by looking at you, will probably take you down. But Daniel Craig is a freak of nature and like a very physically imposing kind of person. And I love that for an action star. It makes it more believable that he's just running through shit. He just runs through walls. Like, and I believe it. It's really a smart choice, in my opinion. As movies have changed, as the times have changed, going into the 2000s, it just makes sense that they would choose someone who's like a little bit more beefy, is almost like a football player. And I like that call. Whoever ultimately made that final decision is a genius.
That'd probably be Barbara Broccoli. I think
probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So Roger
She's
Moore.
Like, ooh, this guy's a good looking fucker. Yeah. Let's go with him.
Roger Moore was Bond for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig was, geez. If you look at Live and Let Die and A View to a Kill back to back, he had a rough fucking 12 years compared to Craig's 15.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my God. I was assuming Roger Moore was Bond for like 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it feels like, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous. They were also considering Doug Ray Scott, who seemed to be considered for so many great roles he never got.
Yeah.
Like James Bond, Wolverine, Aragorn. Never happened. Almost happened, but never happened.
Those are huge L's. Oh, man. Those are all roles that will change your entire life as an actor. Yeah. Good God.
Anthony Starr, the guy who plays Homelander on The Boys, he was considered.
Yeah.
And then Rupert Friend, who I think his biggest claim to fame is he was in that Hitman sequel, the video game movie. So,
okay. Not quite.
No, I think they made the right call with Craig. The rest of these guys, I see some of them playing Bond villains. Like of this group, I'd love to see, honestly, Cavill now would be fucking amazing. But
oh, yeah.
Caleb and I talked about that.
That guy is a freak. Like, as Superman, you're like, holy shit, that's Superman. You know, that guy is huge. And as Bond, it would be, if he was Bond, I'd be like, yeah, he could probably beat up anybody. Yeah.
Love it or hate it, that scene in Mission Impossible Fallout when he like fucking cocks his arms like shotguns.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that Mission Impossible. I have, they're kind of hit or miss for me, all of them.
Yeah.
But that one's in probably the top 3 for me. I thought that one's really, really strong. That's partly due to it's like, if Ethan Hunt can beat this guy, then holy shit, you got to give him his flowers. Like, it's just, that guy's a monster. And of course, MI3, like, how do you take down Philip Seymour Hoffman's sadistic, I will hunt down your wife and I'm going to hurt her. Like, it's just, there's a few scenes in those movies that are pretty kick ass.
I think Doug Ray Scott's the bad guy in part 2.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, you're right. MI2, probably the worst one.
There's a universe out there where so many franchises didn't take off because of Doug Ray Scott's involvement. Yeah, I just
sad.
Yeah.
Just sad.
I know. Yesterday's sneak preview, Caleb and I got to talking about the Bond thing and who we want to play Bond, and Cavill's name came up, but he's so committed to The Witcher now. That's all he wants to do. I mean, he's a big fan of the game and the books. Like, this is his dream job, so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, whatever, I guess. I don't know. I wish he was more of a movie guy, I guess, for selfish reasons.
I feel like, he had potential to be such an incredible Superman, but he never got the script he deserved. And now he's counted amongst the worst. And I don't think that's fair. It's not his fault.
Yeah, no, those are not the actors' faults. The recent DC mess is not their fault. But
the name I keep tossing around for Bond, and I really hope somebody else like with clout considers this, Richard Madden.
Oh yeah, that'd be a great call. Richard Madden, how old is he right now? Let's see.
I think like mid-30s.
Yeah, he's born in 1986, so yeah, he's in his mid-30s. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Him or Henry Golding, I think he could pull it off too.
Yeah, Henry Golding is my dream choice. Like, if they were to go for the proper age, but I also am in the camp that, like, yeah, if they knocked out 2 like strong Bond films with Idris Elba, I'm in. I'm fucking in.
Yeah, me too. But he's already been adamant that he does not want to do this.
Yeah, and he's 46 years old, Idris Elba. So it's like, how long? I mean, Daniel Craig is 53 right now. So God, it's like,
damn, he looks great.
Yeah.
53.
I mean, how long can Idris really go? Like, how do we know how he's going to age? Obviously he's another imposing kind of guy and just an awesome actor, can do it in TV and film. But I'm always weary about guys that are over like 42, 45, like they're around that, I think it's too late to kind of choose them as, as a guy who's going to go for maybe 4 or 5 movies.
Yeah. Plus, there's the element of, Bond seducing all these hot young women. And I mean, you look at A View to a Kill and, Bond was, I think Roger Moore was in his late 50s, early 60s. And I don't remember the Tanya Roberts, maybe, was like 25. And it's gross. He was like, she's old enough to be my granddaughter. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah. This is weird. Yeah.
So you got to take that into account as well. So obviously Wilson and Broccoli found Daniel Craig. His performance in 2004's Layer Cake is likely what got him noticed by these guys. I like to think that Connor Rooney and Road to Perdition had something to do with this as well.
Oh, yeah. I think we've brought that movie up a few times just on various episodes. And we both are huge fans. He's so damn good in that one.
When Craig was announced as Bond in 2005, fans were surprisingly livid. They didn't think Craig fit the mold of Bond. They thought he was too young, too short, too blonde. Craig went on to lead the most profitable era of the Bond franchise and star in 5 films, but the deck was stacked against him, as it often is when you've got, an out-of-the-box choice for a fan favorite character. Like you brought up Heath Ledger in The Joker. This happens all the time, be it Batman, Doctor Who, James Bond. There's, these characters that carry so much baggage. It's hard to A, put your own spin on it, and B, take the backlash. I can't imagine having that kind of weight on your shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah. And then to just destroy, and just quite frankly, destroy and make this movie makes just so much money at the box office and hand over fist, and people like loved it immediately and praised what he was doing, deconstructing what we know as Bond as the, like you mentioned, just kind of like martinis and sleeping with women all the time. He's like, I am killing, like he kills so many people in this movie. And it just sets the tone for like, you're watching a different kind of action star. It's 007, but not like you've seen before.
Well, what we see from Dr. No to Die Another Day is really kind of an unstoppable killing machine who never really has a down moment. There's moments where he's like, strapped to a table with Goldfinger's laser almost getting his nuts, but he's getting out of it. Like there's never any long-term damage. But with Craig's Bond, he fucks up consistently. He falls. Yeah. He almost gets poisoned. There's bruises, there's blood, there's scars. And you get because this is his first mission. Like he's not the James Bond that we have met. This is a guy who's just figuring it out. And I think that's such a cool way to go, to show us the human side of such a, hard to kind of, there's a word, like just an unattainable character.
Mm-hmm.
But to bring him down to earth is so smart and worked. And Craig just keeps building off this performance in all of his films. And I'm so anxious to see the new one, to see how this character bows out. Because it's not just, Craig's Bond is unlike the rest of James Bond, because they're all kind of, I'm fairly certain from, 62 to 2002, it's supposed to be the same man. Same guy, just different face every time. Craig's Bond, Casino to No Time to Die is telling its own story. And I love that. We're going to see he might die. Honestly, I don't know. He might kick the bucket. We might see Bond like give his life for the world or something.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. That wouldn't shock me at all. I definitely forgot. I didn't forget plot points of the movie and major points, but as you're watching it, you're going to talk about it on a podcast. You want to really try to gather what it is you love about it and like what stands out to you. And he's not only like falling and messing up, but it's like major mistakes. Mistakes that at the beginning of the movie almost get him kicked out, almost get him essentially fired. And you're like, oh, Bond's just like a fucking delinquent. like 007 is just like a fucking degenerate. And I love that about him. I love that so much. I love when he's actually playing cards and he becomes kind of like a trope from other gambling movies that I love, where he's just like, I gotta keep playing, gotta keep five, you know, I gotta go. I'm out of money. So what? I gotta keep going. And I love that. I love that part of it. The unpredictability of it is huge. And going into No Time to Die, I think you're right. I think something major is going to happen in that movie, and it could be his death, or it's going to be something tough to handle, because this is it. This is it for Craig.
Yeah.
This weekend. It's crazy.
Over the course of the Craig Bond films, we see this Bond come to terms with so much about himself, about his heart, about his job, that I feel like self-sacrifice is kind of the natural progression of this. Like, this is where it's going. You know,
it's kind of what he wanted all along, right? It's like he wanted, just like, oh man, just need to get out of here. Like this I'm trapped.
Yeah. With, you know, losing Vesper was like it for him. That was, his heart is gone. You know, now he's the callous agent who doesn't care. But, you know, through Skyfall and Spectre, we see him kind of get a little bit of that back, like with M, and even with Blofeld to an extent, you know, finding his brother, quote unquote brother again. I wasn't the biggest fan of that plot line, but it was what it was. And I just think, you know, I hope they do it right. I hope they don't, you know, give us a Dark Knight Rises, the cockpit was empty ending. I want to see like if he's going to die, fucking die. I want to see some consequences here.
Yeah. I think you will. I think No Time to Die is going to hopefully be, you know, the next best to Casino Royale of these 5 Craig films. I really hope so.
Ooh, it could be. So let's get into the film itself, talk about the cast and crew here. Casino Royale is based on the very first Bond novel by Ian Fleming that was first published in 1953. He wrote it over the span of 3 months, writing about 2,000 words a day. MGM obtained, this is crazy, MGM obtained the rights to this film from Sony in 1999, trading them the film rights to Spider-Man in the process. So Casino Royale is why Sony owns Spider-Man.
Yep. Insanity.
Yeah. And if some of you may be thinking like, wait a minute, a superhero franchise has got to be infinitely more potentially successful than one Bond story. And yeah, that's true now. In 1999, 2 years prior, Batman and Robin destroyed the superhero film industry. Nobody wanted to take a chance on a superhero movie. They were considered like just way too risky. So basically MGM had these, you know, these Spider-Man rights over here just floating, wasting space. And Sony had something that could be potentially successful with Casino Royale. And they're like, all right, swap. It's hard to believe that at one point the rights to Spider-Man were considered, you know, worthless.
Yeah. Well, I think up until 2002, you know, obviously Sam Raimi changes people's idea about that. And that was a risk in itself, was just doing that and giving a real filmmaker like Raimi the reins to a franchise and to really make his own story out of it, make his own little world out of it. And it obviously worked because that first one's so fucking good. And still to me is one of the better superhero movies I've ever seen, live action superhero movies I've ever seen, is that 2002 Spider-Man. And the second one's pretty damn good too. And the third one, you know, it has its issues, but it was very successful and very much changed, along with, I think, you know, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy and The Incredibles from Pixar. I think all those movies kind of happening in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, changed movies forever, quite frankly.
And don't discount what I think is, you know, the true beginning of the superhero craze, Bryan Singer's X-Men in 2000. That was the big one.
And I think I also like to throw Blade in there.
Oh, yeah. We love Blade.
Yeah, Blade's great.
Blade did not make X-Men money.
No, it didn't make any. Those other movies just destroyed. Yeah. But we love Blade. It's just as good as the others.
Yeah. In the Casino Royale novel, they're not playing Texas Hold'em because this is Montenegro. Why would they be playing Texas Hold'em in Montenegro? They're playing Baccarat, which is Bond's game of choice. But this being, you know, 2006, and big in America, no one knows what the fuck Baccarat is or how to play it. So
yeah. And the way it's explained is it's a very simple game. It's one of the most simple, classic games of poker you can play. Makes it very easy to follow what's happening on the screen when you're watching. You're not even if you have no idea what's going on in poker or gambling, it's very easy to tell. Oh, okay. It's good to have 3 of the same card. Yeah, it's good to have 5 cards in a row that line up and match. Whether it be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on and so forth. It makes it easy as a movie to be entertaining and follow without knowing about poker, which is just such a smart move.
Yeah, definitely. I believe I read that this was the first Bond film since Moonraker to be based on one of Fleming's novels. They ran out of novels pretty fast. There's only 11 Bond novels. And so they mined his short stories, The Living Daylights, Octopussy, For Your Eyes Only. These are all short stories where they pretty much just took the title and then made up their own story. I mean, Moonraker, for example, does not involve a psychotic British billionaire creating an extinct virus out of flowers and then catapulting a bunch of handsome people to space to wipe out the human race and restart in his image. That's not what the book's about. Star Wars had just come out and they needed to do something.
Yeah. Fuck the late 70s and 80s. We all got to go to space. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's fun. Moonraker's a fun movie, but it is so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's well put. Yeah.
Oh boy. So to helm the film Casino Royale, Bond alumni Martin Campbell was brought on board. Campbell had previously resurrected the Bond franchise once before in 1995 with GoldenEye, and has also directed The Mask of Zorro, The Legend of Zorro, Vertical Limit, and Green Lantern. So kind of a mixed bag, but when it comes to Bond films, there might be no one better.
There's no one you probably want more to do your first one, right? Who understands, hey, introducing this character needs to be fast, quick, pacey, and let's get to it. Let's get to that gritty stuff where he is killing, and he's right.
Yeah. As Carly Simon once said, nobody does it better.
Yeah.
And Martin Campbell, Legend of Zorro sucked. Yeah, Green Lantern sucked. But you throw this guy in the Bond franchise, Jesus Christ, does he deliver? GoldenEye is a badass movie and one of my favorites. I mean, you got Sean Bean as a disgraced 00 who going after the entire British government for revenge. Yes.
Sign me up. Yeah.
Tina Turner's theme, a kind of a darker Brosnan Bond. He wasn't quite the goofy Die Another Day Bond yet. There's still a little, kind of a callous there. You've got Robbie Coltrane as a Russian gangster. Sure, why not? It's a fun movie.
Yeah, I do like that one a lot. It just makes no sense that Martin Campbell is the guy at the helm for Casino Royale. I just see it as, I think you called it lightning in a bottle when we were kind of texting about it. It just makes no sense when you look at the full. Especially if you took GoldenEye away from the filmography, you're like, wait, what? How on earth is this the guy? Like The Protege and The Foreigner and these Warriors TV movie, Reckless TV movie, Green Lantern, Edge of Darkness. Like, well, what? That's the guy who made this one of the strongest, mainstream films of all the 2000s. What the fuck? Like, it's just bonkers.
I thought The Protege wasn't bad, admittedly, but
fair enough.
And the Mask of Zorro was one of my favorite movies.
Okay, 98 Mask of Zorro is good. Legend of Zorro, that's the 2005 one, not good.
That movie's dog shit. But the first one, I'll accept Anthony Hopkins as a Spaniard named Diego de la Vega. Sure, okay, fine.
He's done crazier shit. Yeah,
it takes more than a tiny little mustache to make a Spaniard, but whatever. That movie's fun.
Oh man.
So Daniel Craig played Bond in Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die. Five Bond run, solid run, mostly good. The only one I'm not really a fan of is Quantum, but that's kind of universal.
It's just monumentally less entertaining than Casino Royale too. It's like, it follows up this one that surprised people and still stands the test of time. And Quantum's like, fuck, I guess I gotta watch that one.
Yeah.
That sucks. I think it is keeping away. I mean, I think Skyfall is wonderful, and Spectre's pretty good. I think it's got really cool moments, but I don't think altogether it's nearly as strong as Skyfall or Casino. But if Quantum was just a bit better, this could be a 5-movie run that's just unforgettable, and it sucks that that's slightly holding it back from being kind of put into a franchise Hall of Fame kind of thing. I think it's holding it back just a little bit, and that's unfortunate.
The only Bond who had a solid run, in my opinion, was Connery. All of his films are fucking gold.
They're all worth your time. Of course, there's moments that are, haven't aged well, but overall, as movies, they're still worth watching.
If you can set aside the rape and the racism, it's a great run.
There you go. Yeah, speed bumps.
God, pretty fucking huge speed bumps. I mean,
they're like those speed bumps at those schools where they're like they're not made out of concrete. They're like ramps, and you're like, oh fuck. If you have a little car, you like really have to slow down to I mean, to get over it.
It's hard to excuse, Bond being transformed into an Asian man to hide in Japan, and all they do is give him a bowl cut and kind of paint his eyes a little bit.
Oh,
it's pretty fucked.
God. Yeah, 60s,
and also,
yikes.
The assassins find him immediately, so it didn't do anything. It's just there for, I don't know why it's there. You've got, Bond forcing himself on Pussy Galore and Goldfinger. That's hard to get past. But apart from that, solid run. And I'd argue Dalton, solid run as well. I mean, he only had two, but those two are great.
That 1-2 is nice. Yeah, see, I would love for a guy to do that now. That's why I was kind of speaking about Idris Elba. It'd be cool to see someone go bang, bang, like in a 2-year span, just knock out 2 solid movies and then pass it on again. Because it's just like, who the fuck is going to do it? Craig's done.
But these days, the way you do franchises, like you're expected to be in it for fucking ever. I mean, you're signing, 5-6 picture contracts.
Yeah. Look at Robert Downey Jr. After the MCU. He's like, okay, guys. I've done 15 of these bastards. Let me get out of here. Kill me now.
I'm imagining Daniel Craig is done with Bond. He's washed his hands of it. And I just picture Marvel's people give him a call and him just being like, fuck off, and going and hanging up the phone. Just being like, I am indie till the day I die.
Yeah. Yeah, the most mainstream big thing I'm doing is Knives Out, bitches. Yeah.
I got my $400 million check from that, and I am set.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be very cool to see him play a villain of some sort in something big, but it ain't happening.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think he'd make personally, pretty decent Magneto, but I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, he could do a lot in the MCU. He could play a lot of different people.
Some of Craig's other notable films include Road to Perdition, The Golden Compass, Munich, Cowboys and Aliens, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Logan Lucky, and Knives Out. He's a great actor, great performer, and he hates James Bond more than anybody. And he's very happy to be done with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how there was that one video going around where he's thanking everybody on set just to look like he is having a good time. that was funny.
Remember, I think it was either on the Skyfall or Spectre press tour where they asked him about doing another one. He's like, I would rather break this glass and slit my wrists than ever play James Bond again. And you can quote me.
Yeah.
MGM was like, the fuck, man, what are you doing?
I'm being honest. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he had to be like, I'm sorry. I'm a little beat. Give me 6 years and we'll talk. Oh, boy.
Oh my God. I like him a lot though. I think he's done really cool stuff. Weaving in and out of playing Bond and doing different kinds of things. I think my favorite, I really like what he's doing as Mikael Blomkvist and the girl with dragon tattoo. Now, one thing he did not even try doing in that movie, which I just don't care because I think he's a great actor. It's a Swedish story, Swedish books, and the original 3 films are all in Swedish. And Rooney Mara is doing like an accent. She's speaking English, but she's doing an accent. Daniel Craig is like, fuck that. I'm going to speak how I speak, and you just got to run with it. But that movie is so good. And watching him go from playing Bond, this superimposing, just like kind of monster character, to a reporter who's unraveling this just nasty web of lies while working with Rooney Mara's Elizabeth Salander is really cool. It's really cool to see him kind of bounce back and forth between this sophisticated journalist reporter who's always, taking his glasses on and off and figuring things out, to just beefy dude who's shooting people. I've always had mad respect for that. And then Logan Lucky, Steven Soderbergh's Logan Lucky. That movie's good. It's not great. It's good. A lot of Soderbergh movies just kind of entertain you. They come and they go, and then some of them are incredible. I think Soderbergh is just a quality filmmaker who's going to entertain you. In Logan Lucky, he is without a doubt the best part of that movie, amongst a really unique cast of, like Channing Tatum and Adam Driver. He's kind of just steals the show as Joe Bang. I love him in that movie. And his accent is fucking wild, and his whole storyline, his hair is fucking nuts. It's like bleach blonde. So I love him in specific movies. And then, of course, like you mentioned earlier, Road to Perdition. I love him in Defiance. I think that movie's underrated. Yeah. Really like him in that. He's done some good things around this monster franchise, and he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to try in anything, but he really does. He really does. Other than that Swedish accent, but I forgive him because that movie's so good. Girl with Drag Tattoos, one of the more underrated movies, I think, from the earlier part of the 2010s. He's really good in it, and Rooney Mara is even better.
I think it's interesting that he's kind of found a new niche in playing like Southern fried characters.
Yeah.
With Logan Lucky and Knives Out, he's kind of like, this is what he loves doing right now.
Yeah. Let me do exactly opposite of James Bond. Yeah.
What is the opposite of highly refined MI6 agent James Bond? Kentucky Private Eye.
There you go. He's supposed to be in a movie. I'm not sure when it's supposed to come out. It's called The Creed of Violence. And that movie's directed by Todd Field, who's just a blessing to the film community. Directed Little Children and In the Bedroom. He's just a dynamite director. So I will be keeping my eyes out for that. Seeing Craig work with someone like that will be really special. And apparently there's going to be 3 Knives Out movies. So It's like, yeah, he's good.
Biggest deal in Netflix history. Like Ryan Johnson and Craig made like $400 million a pop. Like this was huge. And you know what? I like Knives Out. It's a good movie. The ensemble for Knives Out 2 is looking insane. So I'm on board.
Yeah, it's kind of like obviously it's a whodunit, and why wouldn't you want to be in that as an actor? Just having fun with other really, really, really strong actors. Yeah, I know like Edward Norton, Ethan Hawke are both lined up for this one. Catherine Hahn, Kate Hudson. It's like, what the fuck? Janelle Monáe is supposed to be.
I think Batista's in there.
Yeah, Dave Bautista. Yeah, just crazy. Just. They're going even wilder. I think the first one was like stacked with like legendary performers, and this one they're going with even more unique type character actors, and I love that.
Yeah, me too. I guess Ryan Johnson's going to have more time on his hands now that I don't think he's doing any more Star Wars.
No, he's not. No, he doesn't need to be doing that.
No,
he doesn't. That's not where his mind is. I've watched interviews with him, and it's like, how do you say no to Star Wars, right? Of course. But
yeah, but also,
I would say no because I'd be like, I would fuck it up because I don't know anything about the franchise. I don't know how to like properly respect it. I think what he respects and what he's a fan of, I think it better suits him for doing stuff like Knives Out, where he can really fuck with genre and do different things and be a little bit more free. Star Wars is like, hey, you're here. You're in this world. You have to stay here. and that's not for every filmmaker.
Clearly it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to be nice. I mean, yeah, he yeah, not for Ryan.
Eva Green plays Vesper Lind, British Treasury agent. Green has also appeared in Dark Shadows, 300 Rise of an Empire, Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, and the series Penny Dreadful. And I always think she's had like such a long career of like, respected British roles, but I looked at her IMDb and no, not really. She's pretty much been doing shit for quite a while.
Yeah. You would have thought, she's 26 when this movie comes out, Casino Royale. And if you see that, you're like, oh man, you think a career is really coming,
Yeah.
And no, it like went total opposite. I really wish she could get some sort of redo through her 20s and 30s, because I just think bad decisions were made. I think she just fell into some sort of hole where she just wasn't picking the right movies. And that will happen, that does happen. I think it's a lot harder than people realize to just choose movies, to just choose work, because you're an actor. This is what you do. You gotta try out for stuff, audition for stuff, and be picked. And I think the stuff she was picked for just didn't pan out for movie fans. Therefore, her career just looks kind of dull. And I don't know. That sucks, because she is dynamite in Casino Royale, and not like most of your Bond women. She is like whip smart.
Yeah.
And that first scene when you see them on the plane together and they're just kind of assessing each other, she just fucking cracks right back at him, and it's so cool. Like, she's extremely intelligent and such a vital piece to the story and the ending, and his character development through the next 4 films, going into No Time to Die. You just don't have that without Vesper being such a strong character and us believing that this character meant so much to his life and his heart. Yeah. And the fucking password, is her. I love that scene when he starts spelling it out. So cool.
Fucking Martini is her.
Yeah.
Like, she meant everything to him, and losing her turned him into the jaded secret agent that sleeps with every woman he comes across. There's no, he'll never love again. It's pretty heartbreaking. But I do love that she is a fully fledged character with her own wants and desires and development. She doesn't have a stupid name like Pussy Galore or Holly Goodhead or Plenty O'Toole. These are all real characters, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like Austin Powers. Yeah.
I know. A lot of vagina is not all that far off.
No. I wanna hump a lot. Yeah.
Anything that's a little more toned down.
Yeah. No, yeah. Pussy Galore is like, wait, what? Jesus.
Yeah. Ridiculous. So Vesper, is a very cool kind of, she's a counterpoint to Bond. She has, the wit and the brains to kind of shoot the barbs back. And I love that. But she also knows when to say no, when to put her foot down, and, for the good of the mission. Like when Bond loses everything to Lashif the first time and then tells her, I can do it. And she's like, no, your ego's in the way. You can't do it. I don't believe in you anymore. Like, you need that balance. You need someone to Bond needs someone to tell him no. He needs to have someone to hold him back. And she was great.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I love her performance just as much as his in this movie. Yeah, super important, and we're getting to my favorite though. We're getting to my favorite of the whole film. Yeah.
Oh, here he is. Mads Mikkelsen plays terrorist banker Lashif. Mikkelsen has also appeared in The Hunt, Doctor Strange, Another Round, Clash of the Titans, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and the TV series Hannibal as Dr. Hannibal Lecter. And he is one of my favorite character actors, one of the most underappreciated performers working today, always delivers. And the fact that we got him as a Bond villain is I'm so grateful. He's so good as Lashif, this kind of slimy weasel who's gambling with terrorists' money. I mean, he's a fuck up, and I love that he's kind of like, him and Bond have this cool back and forth of like, I know that you know that I know kind of thing. And I love that.
Yeah. Fucking Mads. What a cool touch. The weeping blood, all that stuff is just fucking stellar. And when you mentioned their I know that you know and all that stuff, that's my favorite part of this movie is when they're playing, and because we don't know as the audience yet. I mean, especially if you haven't seen it, it's your first time watching Casino Royale, which is that's such a treat. I still remember that first time just being like, oh my God, the fuck? When you don't know that when Bond explains what the tell is when he goes up to the bar, and you're like, oh, that fucker's working for him. And then he does it, and he's like, oh, you must have thought I was bluffing there. It's like, oh my God, right in the middle of the game in front of all these other players. It's really like, all right, me and you are really just playing. These other people are just fucking pawns, and they're pawns that are holding $15 million, It's crazy. The amount of money at that table and the amount that's at stake for both individuals. But Mads is operating on a level of, I'm going to get tortured and killed if I don't win this game. And that incentive, that drive that he has is so cool. It's such a cool thing to put into a movie. And I love watching him before all that happens, before we see him and Bond come face to face. I love everything like about him when he's, in Africa, then when he's on that like fucking yacht and he's playing games and he's like, tell our visitors they need to leave or we'll throw them off the fucking boat. Like, hell yeah, dude, this guy fucking rules, because he doesn't have to do anything himself until he really needs to, until his back is really against the wall, or until he's like, I'm going to get the password out of him by beating him in the fucking nuts over and over and over. And I'm like, God, what a character. What a well-written, well-rounded character that I can't get enough of. And Mads, I mean, you said it right, man. He is maybe the most underappreciated character actor we have right now. Should be getting every fucking role offered to him. He can do everything. He reminds me of my favorite people that have ever done this, and it excites me to know that I think his best stuff is still to come.
Yeah,
which is bonkers. I'm very partial to his work with Thomas Vinterberg, the Danish stuff, The Hunt and Another Round. Like, good God, those are just singular experiences that you can't trade for the world. Those movies will just sweep you off your feet and kind of attack on all the senses. In particular, Another Round. I love Another Round with everything I've got. It's one of my favorite movies from last year.
Yeah, that was such a delightful movie about just, fuck it, let's live life our way. But yeah, Mikkelsen as Le Chiffre is special because a lot of Bond films, a lot of Bond villains, most of the time their weakness is overconfidence.
Yeah.
And Le Chiffre has that, but there's also this, like, he is constantly belittled by, the terrorists who attack him, Mr. White, killing him in the end. He's low level. He's low tier in what we later find out is Spectre. I love that they just constantly call it, my organization. Like, longtime Bond fans are like, that's fucking Spectre. we knew immediately. But just, I love that. He's a piece of shit. He's gambling with terrorist money, knowing full well that if he loses, they're gonna get his head. But he doesn't care. He's so arrogant about it. The whole thing with the plane, blowing up the plane to short the stock. Great scheme. And I could go on about Mads forever.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Yeah, the every little plot point that involves him is pristine, in my opinion. And like you said, that's when Mads does such a good job, when that he's low level compared to these other guys. And when those guys come to his room, the African dudes come to his room and are like, I want my fucking money, you dirtbag, And he doesn't even blink when he's about to kill his girlfriend. And he's like, you need to get a new boyfriend, you motherfucker. Like, I love that stuff because it does remind you that oh, this guy's working for a lot of different people. He's not this badass but he's so good at making you believe. He's so arrogant and so good. Mads is so good at portraying this character that you're like, oh, this guy's the baddest motherfucker in the room. When really, it's not even his money. It's not even his own stuff. It's totally mind blowing. I love it so much, and I love that Jeffrey Wright comes into play and is like, oh, let's take this bastard down. So cool.
My favorite little moment that Mads does in this movie is after his girlfriend serves Bond the poison martini, and Bond takes a sip and he starts to feel like, wait a minute, and you just see Mads kind of like tilt his head a little bit, looking at Bond like, feeling a little off, Mr. Bond. Like he doesn't say a word, but it's all in the eyes of like, you know what I did. Like, it's quintessential Bond villain right there.
And neither of them can give it away because there's so many other players at the table who think this is a legitimate game. And they're like, no, it's me and you, motherfucker. And I'm going to take you out by killing you, by poisoning you. That scene is great. That scene is like pulsating. It's like, oh man, like what's going on? You know, is he really about to be out of this game? You know, is
camera work?
Yeah.
Like just the shakiness of the camera, you know, pointing down, like Bond, you can feel that Bond's in serious distress. And then when he comes back and the chief looks at him like, wait a minute, what? How are you alive? And just, you know, the perfect Bond quip. Sorry about that. That last hand nearly killed me. Like,
so good.
Oh,
I also love when Lashif says, you've changed shirts after he's got the blood on him from just fucking murdering those two guys. Oh my God.
Is our little game causing you to perspire, Mr. Bond?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't be too worried until I start weeping blood.
Genius stuff. The card that I know that's like the most intense part, but that climax of the card game is like some of the best stuff, not only in Bond, but some of the best stuff I've seen in gambling movies.
I love when they all like when Bond orders his drink and everyone's like, you know what, that sounds good, I'll have one. And then the chief's like, is that it? We done? We playing cards now? Like, everyone's like, someone's in a hurry. Like, just
does anyone want to play poker? Yeah. I love that. And Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright's like, someone's in a hurry, and that's when you're like, wait a minute, that guy's involved. Yeah.
Fun little fact I didn't put in the Filmgazm facts. I found this out a couple weeks ago. One of the players is an Asian woman, and she was an ex-Bond girl. She is one of the she's the lady at the beginning of You Only Live Twice who fake kills James Bond.
Okay.
So that was nice. That was neat.
I like that. That's really cool.
Next up, we've got Oscar winner Judi Dench, who plays M, head of MI6's 00 section. She won her Oscar for her performance in Shakespeare in Love, was nominated for her performances in Mrs. Brown, Chocolat, Iris, Mrs. Henderson Presents, Notes on a Scandal, and Philomena. This is her 5th time playing M after the 4 Brosnan films, and she would reprise the role in Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and a brief cameo in Spectre. And she is fucking lights out as M. Just, you believe that this woman could corral James Bond into her office and give him the business, which she constantly does because he's a bit of a fuck up. And I love it. You know, I'm partial to Bernard Lee as M. He was the first M for Connery in about half of the Moore era. He was good, but Judi Dench, she did such a great job. I'm so glad they carried her over from the Brosnan films, considering it's a straight reboot. That was interesting. And I love the relationship between her and Bond. It's this like kind of weird, you know, mother-son thing that she's the only one he really respects. It's great.
Yeah. I think it's a crucial scene at the beginning when he breaks into her like flat, and he believes her when she's like, "I will have you killed if you ever do this again." It's so cool. And then he's like, he goes on to almost slip up and say her name because he's like, "I thought M was just a random letter. I didn't know it stood for." And she's like, "Don't you fucking do that." I love that. Judi Dench she represents at the same time that like she reminds me of both my grandmothers, but also reminds me of my least favorite teacher in elementary school. She's brutality, but also is going to like give you a plate of cookies afterwards. And I adore her. She's amazing. a treasure, really a treasure to the world of cinema.
My favorite moment of hers comes in Skyfall after the debacle where the list is taken, Bond is shot, and she goes to talk to Mallory. And Mallory's like, we'd like you to leave with dignity. And she goes, to hell with dignity. I'll leave when the job's done. And walks out of his office. It's like, fuck yeah, that's what M would say. That's a leader. Like, God damn. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah. Judi Dench.
And also, if anyone's curious, there's a plaque in her office in either Casino or Skyfall. Her name is Olivia Mansfield.
There you go.
Yeah. So if I end up shot to death tonight, you know why.
Gave it away.
Jeffrey Wright plays CIA agent Felix Leiter, marking the first time we've seen Felix since 1989's License to Kill, when vicious drug cartel leader Franz Sanchez has him lowered into a fucking shark tank and his legs eaten. Brutal fucking movie. One of my favorites. But we hadn't seen Felix in such a long time. And then I love that they kind of just, something's up with this guy. And then when he finally confronts Bond and is like, I'm Felix Leiter from Langley, I'm like, oh my God. Like I lost my mind.
It's such a cool moment. It obviously changes the entire movie and allows him to keep going.
Yeah. He would play Leiter again in Quantum of Solace and is slated to play him in No Time to Die. He also appeared in Ali, The Manchurian Candidate, the Hunger Games movies, Lady in the Water, The Ides of March, and the TV series Westworld. Such an odd career. And he's currently voicing the Watcher in Marvel's What If on Disney+. And
hell yeah. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's the man. He's also going to play Commissioner Gordon in the Batman. So buckle up.
So cool. That's it's time to change everything about Gordon, and really let that stuff go. Like Gary Oldman, let's go for a completely different style of actor. Obviously Oldman can do all and is the man. But I think Jeffrey Wright is going to bring kind of a certain class to it that we haven't seen, maybe ever.
It's a shame J.K. Simmons never really got to play with the role.
Yeah, I think J.K. Being a Jameson, right, in the Spider-Man stuff, I think is fantastic. But I think it took away from him maybe making a move for a bigger role in some kind of superhero capacity, which is unfortunate.
True, but I'd argue that J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is the greatest comic book to screen adaptation of a character of all time.
It's pretty much perfect.
Oh,
crap. Double crap. What are these? Yeah, talk about JK forever.
You can't print that. It's slander. It is not. I resent that. Slander is spoken. In print, it's libel. Oh, God. I'll never get tired of Jameson. Finally, Oscar nominee Giancarlo Giannini plays Rene Mathis, Bond's ally and red herring. Giannini was nominated for his performance in Seven Beauties, was also in Hannibal, Man on Fire, and a lot of Italian movies. He would play Mathis again in Quantum of Solace. And this character is just kind of here to make you think he's not, kosher.
Yeah. Does a damn good job of it. I love at the beginning, when they're in Montenegro, when they first get to Montenegro, and you're like, oh, this is one of those guys who's been in the game for a long time and knows his way around all these rich ass cities. And for whatever reason, as the audience, you feel the exact same way that Bond and Vesper do. Just, yeah, okay, this is the contact. Let's move on. And you should somewhere by watching movies and being trained to watch movies a certain way. You should know that this guy's up to no fucking good. Come on, you should just know. But that's how good the film is. That's how distracting it is. That first time you watch it, you're like, motherfucker, Mathis is the one who told him about the towel. No.
Well, I love even in the end when he realizes it was Vesper and M's like, well, I guess that means we should set Mathis free. And Bond's like, no. We just know that she's guilty, not that he's innocent. Keep sweating him. Oof. And then for Mathis and Quantum to be like, you ruined my life. You locked me in a little room And Bond's like, hey, you look like you're doing fine. He's on like the Italian coast with a hot, like new wife drinking wine. Bond's like, I don't think I ruined your life too hard.
Yeah. You seem okay.
Oh yeah. I freaking love him in Hannibal. I think that movie's underrated.
Agreed.
Yeah, just a bit, the cat and mouse between him and Lecter culminating in the fucking disembowelment. I never gets old.
No.
Casino Royale has an IMDb score of 8.0, Rotten Tomatoes score of 94%, grossed $606 million on a budget of $150 million, making it the highest grossing Bond film until Skyfall breaks its record in 2012. And Craig became the first ever actor to be nominated for a BAFTA for playing James Bond. So good for him.
So cool. Makes sense in my eyes.
Yeah. And the only reason we're not doing this on Oscar Sunday is because it has no Oscar nominations, regrettably.
Yeah, that's why, this weekend, you and Caleb are taking over and doing the one that did get some in Skyfall. So just makes sense to represent the two best films, I think, from this Craig run. No shade to Quantum and Spectre. These are more fun to talk about over a whole episode.
No shade to Spectre, definite shade to Quantum.
I don't know. There's moments that are all right, but I actually like the song a lot, that one, but I don't know.
The song's great. I love the song, but after that, I mean, we got a cool car chase song, and then like an hour and a half of kind of a Bolivian water crisis, and
yeah,
I don't know.
It's just hard to swallow. Yeah.
Whereas Casino Royale has maybe my favorite Bond theme, You Know My Name by Chris Cornell, which sets the tone right off the bat that this is going to be a badass adventure. So great. I love I guess we can go straight into, discuss the movie.
Yeah.
The opening, black and white, Bond going after the section chief who's selling state secrets. I don't have any of this shit written down. This is just in my head now.
Yeah.
And you find out that, Bond's not yet a 00, takes 2 kills to be a 00. And the first was the contact that Dryden sent. And I love that right off the bat, this is so much more brutal than anything we've seen from Bond. I mean, just beating a guy to death in a bathroom like that, drowning him in the sink. We don't see that.
Fucking awesome. Yeah, I love that scene. It's a good little fight there for a minute, good little squabble, and then he pulls the drain up a little bit and just bam, just puts him in there and like does not let go. And you're like, oh, this guy's more brutal than really at the time, 2006. Like other action stars just weren't this ruthless. Like Jason Bourne was always like hesitant to me. He's always like, dude, stop being lame. Just fucking kill the guy already. And this Bond is like ready to go right away, Yeah. I love that. I love that for me, for my action stars. I want them to just be ready to just destroy at any given moment.
Well, that's because now Bond had to compete with Mission Impossible and Jason Bourne and these, harder edged post 9/11 action heroes who were kind of taking over global terrorism. Bond for the most part was Cold War espionage, but now, the enemy is bigger. The enemy's harder to find. That comes up a lot in Skyfall and Spectre. The idea that, you can't just point a gun and fire, it's hard to figure out who's the bad guy now. And I think Bond Bond existing in this world, in this new era is really fascinating that you can kind of adapt this character to what you need to reflect the world. Right on. And then of course, Bond shoots Dryden and is like, well, bye. He's like, the first one's tough, but the second one is, and then he shoots him and he's like, yes, considerably, and walks out.
Yeah. Brilliant touch. I like the black and white touch too. I think that's really cool. In Prague gives you kind of a old school feel. You're like, you don't know exactly, was this just a couple weeks ago? How long ago exactly was this? And that's part of the mystery of Bond as a character, as a fucking assassin. It's totally badass.
Yeah. And then we get, of course, the famous gun barrel sequence. At first, the opening credits, longtime Bond fans are like, what? Where's the gun barrel? Are we not doing the gun barrel? Because every Bond film opens with, Bond walking down the barrel and shooting at the screen, blood drops, and it's like James Bond. But the guy picking up the gun and then Bond shooting him in the sink, in the kitchen, and then the song hitting is maybe my favorite moment of the movie. I always get chills. It's done so perfectly well.
Yeah, it's again setting itself apart from everything else before it, and that anticipation as if you're a huge Bond fan, that anticipation of, oh, this is how I know it to be. When is this coming? And then it hits you like that. You're like, oh, okay. You have to give it props when it does something like that. And this movie does that like 10 times.
Yeah. And this is also the first opening credit sequence since Dr. No that does not have just random naked girls dancing around. Mostly because, he was 007. Wasn't quite yet James Bond. He's got to become James Bond over the course of this film. That's why the Bond theme is never heard until the end credits, which I love. That's such a great touch. The whole score is comprised out of You Know My Name. And then in the last, 5 minutes when he shoots Mr. White and introduces himself as Bond, James Bond, then we get the theme. It's like, now here it is. Here's the Bond we know and love. It's great.
Perfect.
Yeah. He's also wearing at the end a replica of Sean Connery's suit and Goldfinger. Just cause.
So badass.
Yeah. It's hard to pick like moments I love from this movie because it's really kind of just one ongoing badass moment. There's no dull. There's never a dull moment here. I love the whole damn movie.
That's it. And obviously we've touched on the massive poker scene, and I think one section we haven't really talked about yet is again one of my favorite parts. Just like everything is Mr. Demetrius when he. This is another thing that I love about this Bond, the Daniel Craig Bond, is this when he gets to he's in the Bahamas and he gets to this little like resort, and the guy he starts tying his shoe because he's looking at the security cameras, and then these fucking rich ass people with like a Range Rover or something are like, well, are you gonna park it or are you just gonna stand there? And then he throws the keys to Daniel Craig and to Bond, and Bond's like, oh, okay, sorry about that. And then he goes and backs up and like runs it into another car so that he gets everybody all jumbled up and everybody's running around. And then he pulls that fast one on the secretary. And he's like, if I were to try to get to Mr. Demetrius, what would I do? And she's like, oh, he has a house up on the beach, And he's like, okay, it's so easy for him to just go through these conversations. And then you finally see them meet each other and they're playing. They play poker, and it really sets the tone of poker is going to come up again. It's going to come up. Gambling's going to come up again. And that's where he wins the fucking Aston Martin. Bond wins an Aston Martin from this slimy dude. And then in very fine fashion, very, very great cutting, great editing here, they go all the way back to Miami. And he follows him back to Miami, and that's where he stabs Demetrius. And then that whole fucking crazy shitstorm scene happens at the airport, which is so good. It's such a good scene when the bomb, he gets it and puts it on the guy's fucking belt loop hole, and that stuff is genius. And that happens in like 20 minutes, and you're like, holy shit. This is nuts. He just killed I don't know. I mean, he killed 2 major people, and then who knows who else he injured, during that time. But he just does it with style, with grit, almost getting hurt many times himself. And I fall in love with that scene every time I watch it. The way he operates through the airport, tracking this fucker down. It's so cool. What's that guy's name? The one he blows up basically.
The character's name is Carlos.
Yeah, I love that bit so much. I'm not sure. Claudio Santamaria. Nice.
That's a name right there.
Yeah, Claudio Santamaria. All right. Yeah, that scene is wonderful. That guy has a very, very slimy look to him, and he's just up to no good right away. He's very easy to pick out of a crowd. That fucking guy. I'm gonna follow that guy. I love that scene so much. I feel like we haven't talked about that one at all, and it's a set piece to just kind of admire, and I think it is it is showing what's going to happen. You get more explosion, as time goes on. There's that famous shot of Daniel Craig and Lea Seydoux, where it's like the biggest explosion ever in cinematic history.
Yeah.
I think Casino Royale does those things. It's like, hey, this one's here to stay. You know, this Daniel Craig stuff is going to be crazier. It's going to be more explosive with the stuff he's doing and what we're just doing on screen. And I love that. I love how it's showing you, it's kind of teasing you like, oh, you think Casino Royale is it? You know, we're going to keep doing crazy shit and crazy action sequences. And I fall in love every time, man. When you watch this movie at home and you can, you know, oh, I got to go piss to pause it. You know, you got to pause it, go take a piss or something. You're like, holy fuck, I'm already an hour and a half in and I've watched so much amazing stuff, you know, and it's just going by like nothing. That happened to me twice last night when I just got up to go get a drink or got up to go to the restroom. And I was like, Jesus, this movie's a masterpiece. every cut is so awesome. And it just makes sense to me as a fan. And I mean, I think that's the only major scene we haven't really talked about. And it's just perfect.
Whew. Yeah, it's something. The whole bit with Demetrius and the poker game, winning the car is so satisfying because this guy, all right. There's a bit when during the real poker game, the big one, when Bond tells Vesper, I need you looking fabulous so that when you come in to kiss me on the neck, the players will be thinking about you and not the cards. And we see Demetrius do that. And he tells his wife, like, if that was for luck, you're 2 seconds late. Like,
yeah,
you know, you missed your cue. And then we see Lashif do that with his girl when he's on the yacht. Like, this is just part of the game. Like, have your hot girlfriend distract the players.
yeah. It's definitely a part of the mental part of playing. Have you ever played poker? Do you like poker at all?
I love poker.
Yeah, me too. I adore it. I'm not very good at it, but I love playing so much, and I love that part of it. I love the social part of it. I love trying to throw people off. I love when other people throw me off. Like, I love getting fucked over. It's like, oh fuck, like you got me. And that's watching this movie is watching these titan people play really just a silly fucking game. And I love that. That's one of my favorite things in movies. You know, some of my, you know, like I love Rounders to death, House of Games, and California Split, gambling movies. I love them so much. Hard Eight I love Hard Eight. It's to see it in Bond and see it this prevalent in the film is like, oh man, like they're taking this to a different height. You know, these guys are so fucking rich and have so much to play for that you just can't take your eyes away. That bit too, I think that's when he beats Demetrius says, two kings in the hole and Bond has two aces.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, dude.
My favorite bit of that is when Bond is, you know, grabbing his winnings and he just says to Demetrius, like, oh, I need the valet ticket.
Yeah.
Demetrius just like gives him the thing and then walks away. And then not only that, he fucking steals his girl.
Yeah, Solange. And Solange is the classic Bond girl. Like, holy hell, she's absolutely stunning, and is like there for Demetrius, like as eye candy, and then becomes a very interesting part of the plot when Bond chooses. This is another straight up mistake he made, and like she lost her life because of it. He leaves her, you know, gets the room service, gets the champagne, and says it's for one, and then leaves the room so he can go take care of business in Miami. That bit is brutality. And that's classic Bond just being like, oh, females are disposable. I think it's said in the movie at one point by Vesper. She's like, women are or females or women, she says, is like disposable pleasure to you.
Yeah. You see women as disposable pleasures rather than meaningful pursuits.
Yeah. And that's like, dude, that is classic Bond just being like a total fucking prick. But he fucking changes at one point in this movie and like really thinks about, I think I want to be with this woman forever. You know, she really accepts me in and out. And I don't know. I love that. I love fucking with like the tropes, the stuff that we know Bond to be, and then changing him. You know, that transformation is huge.
Well, and also this seems like, I think, the first movie to really draw attention to that, to the collateral damage he leaves in his wake. The decisions he makes, killing Demetrios in Miami means that, like Em said, Solange was the only one left they could question. And they tortured her. This is Bond's fault. And none of the other films really go there. Bond's the hero, and that's never made into that's never questioned. Whereas in this one, he's constantly, you're kind of wondering, did he make the right call with this? And most of the time, no, he didn't, because this is his first mission as a 00. He doesn't really know what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's making it up as he goes along. I mean, when they establish cover for him and Vesper, when he's, supposed to be Mr. Beach or whatever it is. And he just throws that away and says, you find the reservation under Bond. It's arrogance. And it shows Le Chiffre that this guy, thinks he can win. And that's not, that was not smart.
No.
Yeah.
I love that when Le Chiffre is like, Mr. Beach, or is that Bond? Yeah, so good. So fucking conniving. I love it.
I also love, going back to Demetrios, the fact that
it's Demetrios, right? Not Demetrius. It's with an O, right?
Oh. Yeah, Alex is Demetrios. Yeah, he's Greek.
Demetrios. Okay, yeah.
My mistake.
No, I was saying Demetrius as well. Yeah. Oh. Fucking Texans. Yeah.
Well, the fact that he actually wins the 64 Aston Martin classic Bond car, the Goldfinger car, so good. So great. Just to have that in the movie is awesome.
That it's not just handed to him. It's like, no, I fucking took it from this bastard. Yeah.
He earned that car.
Yeah.
He didn't get it from Q Branch. He won it playing cards against an asshole.
Yeah. In the Bahamas.
I don't know if you noticed this, but in the airport, fucking Richard Branson is going through airport security.
Okay. I meant to point that out earlier. And he's just smiling, putting his hands up. Yeah.
I think it was some of his planes ended up in the movie. So he was like, can I have a cameo? And they're like, sure, unnecessary billionaire. And just let him go through airport security.
Well, yeah, he has his own island out there or something. He has his own private island out there. Yeah.
That man is too rich. I don't think we all understand. We all think Richard Branson's rich, but the number we're thinking of, it's 10 times that.
Yeah, and then more. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. What he's able to do. I mean, he could save countries. Yeah, and he just I'm just gonna fuck around. Yeah.
But honestly, if I had $300 billion, probably fuck around too. I mean,
oh yeah, I would fuck around a little bit at least. Yeah,
I'd like to think I'd save countries, but I don't know.
Seems like a lot of work, right? Yeah.
Oh boy, I hope one day I get to find out.
I doubt it. I think that guy is unattainable. Just like Bond is an unattainable type character. He's an unattainable type rich, type wealthy person in real life.
Yeah, I don't know how to start an airline.
No, neither do I. I don't know where I go to buy islands. Yeah.
Yeah, I do love the car fight between Carlos and Bond. Totally inspired by Raiders of the Lost Ark.
100%. Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
God, where do we go from there?
I don't even know. I mean, so after Carlos gets just destroyed by the bomb, which is just wonderful. And Bond is just smiling at him. Gotcha. That's that side of Bond that I want to see that. I want to see that kind of nasty, conniving side of him where he's like, I'm gonna not only fuck this guy's day up, but I'm gonna kill him in the worst way possible. I guess what's right after that? That's when he goes back and finds that Solange is dead.
Yeah,
has been tortured.
M puts the chip in his arm and tells him, you're gonna go to Montenegro and to Casino Royale, and you're gonna beat Le Chiffre and bring him in.
Yeah,
because you're the best player in the agency. Of course,
that's what she's like. I love that because she's like, that's what I hear, from the other, that's what everybody says in the agency, that you're the best player. I want to see the prequel movie where he's just beating the shit out of everybody in cards. Everybody in the agency. He's just fucking lining them up and tearing them all to pieces. I want to see that movie.
I read this book series in middle school. It was a young James Bond, and it was about Bond's college days when he was at Eton College for boys. It was about 5 books long, and it was really, really good. I remember just loving it. It was let me see if I can remember. Silverfin, Blood Fever, Double or Die, Hurricane Gold, and By Royal Command. Those are the 5 books.
Hell yeah.
God, things I've memorized. The stuff that's in here that I wish I could get out to put in shit that matters. But yeah, pretty good books. So yeah, you get to kind of see how James Bond became losing his parents and the people he, the villains he defeated back in the day. They were good. But yeah, Bond is, he's not gonna be second best at fucking anything. Of course, he's the best player in the agency, or so Am hears. So he gets chipped, and then we go to Montenegro, and he meets Vesper on the train.
Correct.
But before that, Le Chiffre finds out he lost $100 million.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
By the Skyfleet plane not blowing up, and he's a little miffed, little PO'd, little nettled over this.
Yeah, $100 million. That would leave me a little bit stressed out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, parched. So now Le Chiffre has to recoup. So he sets up this poker game. I love that he sets it up. I forgot that little detail, that Le Chiffre is the guy who organized this whole thing.
Yeah. So he could win the money back and pay these dudes back. Stephen O'Bano. I don't know if that's how you properly say it. And then who's his boy? He has like a henchman. I'm not really sure. I also love Malacca, the bomb maker in Africa.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah.
Oh my God, that scene. That guy's just like a parkour fucking freak.
Yeah, he really does that shit. He's just a professional free runner. And Craig did a lot of his own stunts jumping on that shit. That's an impressive chase scene. I love that. I love the little bit of the junior agent touching his ear and blowing their cover. And the whole chase through the embassy and then blowing up the tank, and M being like, "You blew up an embassy. You've been a 00 for like 2 days."
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's a whole international crisis. Yeah.
I love when she's like, "Christ, I miss the Cold War."
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great line.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's a great scene. And of course, Bond taking that guy out leads Demetrios to grab Carlos, his number 2 bond maker, not bond maker. Martin Campbell, he's a bond maker.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's a 2-time bond maker. Yeah.
So we go to Montenegro. Bond meets Vesper, his match, and they talk about each other's lives, kind of, making assumptions that are pretty accurate. He's a damaged orphan, and she is a slightly more damaged orphan.
Yeah. Oh man.
And she's, loyal to, we find out later, she's loyal to this boyfriend of hers who's been kidnapped by, Quantum, but Spectre. And he ends up being a Spectre agent, and his whole thing was to get, trick her into stealing the money for them. So twisted. Oh, really kind of, it's unfortunate. Kind of, her character is so, you think it ruins her character that she's so loyal to this dude, this boyfriend?
I'll tell you what, if Casino Royale stood on its own, it would do her a lot more justice, wouldn't it? It would give her a lot more. It'd give me and all viewers, the whole audience, more peace about her.
Because like this guy, the boyfriend, his job is to seduce women who have powerful positions in governments around the world and get them to spill state secrets. And I feel like Vesper wouldn't fall for that scheme. She seems so much smarter than that. Yeah,
not the Eva Green Vesper that we meet in Casino Royale. No way. There's no way.
Nah. No.
So it doesn't totally line up with what we knew in the movie, what we knew in Casino Royale while she's alive.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. So when we meet the players, there's this big black dude, there's Jeffrey Wright, there's this Japanese dude named like Fuck You Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that guy. I always thought it'd be funny if like while Bond and Lashif are, going head to head, they don't even realize that one of these other guys is like the greatest poker player on earth and just completely destroys them.
Yeah. That would be really funny. Yeah. They're both like, motherfucker. Yeah. This guy just takes all the money. Yeah. And that table, oof, what a table to be at. And the dealer, what a performance. I'm not quite sure who that is or what. That guy is unbelievable in this movie. Monsieur Bond, you're big blind, you're small blind, bet is 5,000. The ability to watch everything so closely, what's happening. It's a very tough job to be like a croupier, to be a dealer, to be one of those people is not easy. And then to do it in this room with these people, with this stakes in this like private room, just hats off to that guy. That performance is fucking out of this world. And I'm super entertained by what he's doing while dealing. And I've always been fascinated by the sleight of hand. And so watching him kind of deal with the cards and lay them all out and do different little tricks just adds to the flair of the movie.
I bought when this came out on DVD, I got a special deluxe edition that came with 2 decks of cards with the Casino Royale imprint on it and a $25 Casino Royale poker chip.
Oh man.
I still have all that.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
So cool. So as we said, the poker scenes are intense as hell. Maybe the best scenes in the film. And it's just, you're playing the guy across from you. It's Lashif versus Bond. They both know what the other is. And Lashif's tail was so goddamn obvious, like ridiculous. The fact that he like puts his hand on his head to block it. Like, come on, man. Aren't you supposed to be amazing at this?
Yeah. Aren't you supposed to be? It's just more of a reminder that he's acting. He's like a little kid in a man's body, just being like, I can play with the big boys. It's like, no, dude, you're low level, dude. You're fucking mid.
Yeah. You are a terrorist's accountant. Like, you're the banker to the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's hilarious. It's like being, garbage man at the Cobra compound. Like, yeah, you're in the gang, but they're looking down on you.
Yeah.
But he's one of my favorite Bond villains, mostly because he refuses to accept that he's lesser. Like, he's not, I think he's trying to use this money to like upgrade his own status, but he keeps failing at it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's like trying his hardest to move up in this kind of underworld, this criminal underworld, and he just can't quite hang.
Nope. So I think prior to the poisoning, Obano and his guy try to kill Lashif. Bond interrupts them, fights them off. Vesper helps him kill them, and she has a complete break as she realizes exactly what this is, what she's in for. She's been kind of giving Bond the business for being kind of you're just a grunt. But then when the chips are down and he kills 2 people, she's like, holy shit, this is real. Like, I just helped kill somebody. And I love that depiction of her just in the shower with her, her dress still on, just crying because she can't cope with this. And Bond realizing she can't cope and trying his best to console her. It's a great human moment for both of them.
Yeah, really, really, really touching type scene. I love, both with the clothes on in the shower. And he's like, are you cold? And she's like, yes. And he kind of puts his hand around her like, I got you. Oh. And for a minute there, it's kind of almost like yes, like I'm attracted to her, of course. Yes, all these things. But like in this moment, I have to kind of be older brother. I kind of have to like put all that shit to the side. And like you said, be very human and read the room. And she's clearly uncomfortable as hell with what just happened. And I would be too. Good God. What a crazy fight scene, going down the stairs and these guys both meet their death, and not only do they meet their death, but Bond is like, I need to call Mathis and get these fucking bodies hidden, and that's what happens. And they're like laughing about it afterwards when the bodies are in the car. They're both like,
well, I love that
like,
immediately
Jesus.
after, I know it's fucked. Immediately after this, Bond goes to his bathroom and pours himself a drink and composes. We've never in the history of the Bond franchise seen Bond deal with it before. Like the aftermath of the murder where he's just like, okay, all right, fuck, calm down. We don't see that ever, but I love that we got to see Bond have a drink and settle down. It's awesome. And then, change his shirt and go back to poker, and Lashif gives him the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After Lashif just got threatened, like, hey, if you don't win this and give us the money tomorrow, you're done. And Lashif has the audacity to be like, oh, did you change shirts? Well, making fun of his sweating. Yeah.
Yeah.
the fucking audacity of Mads Mikkelsen as Lashif is so cool.
So I think that takes us to the poison, which is such a great scene. Technically speaking, Lashif's the only villain who ever actually killed Bond, be it briefly.
True.
But just him realizing it, Lashif kind of letting him know, like, yep, that is poison you're feeling. And he gets up, grabs some salt, tries to puke it out, but it's already in his bloodstream, and then goes to the car and alerts MI6. And it's such a tense scene. Like, the camera's like pulsing, and you're just like, shit. You think for a second, like when he pulls the cord out, like, oh shit, it's not plugged in. You're like, he's going to die. Like, how's he get out of this? And Vesper, brings him back. And then he asks if she's okay. I love that.
She's like, what? Am I okay? Yeah. So good.
And he goes back to the poker game. The Chief's like, you were supposed to be dead. Great scene.
Yeah, I love that scene so much. That's where I think Martin Campbell's best stuff comes about. The attention to detail with him grabbing the glass and the salt and going to the restroom and then realizing, okay, this is very, very strong. I gotta get back to the car and see if I can try to save my life here. And he's swaying through the street. These cars are passing and he spins, and all that stuff is just brilliantly executed, and is one of those very rare moments where Bond, like you said, leaves us for a moment, and it's pretty epic, to be honest. It's like an hour and a half in, hour and 40 minutes in. You still have 45 minutes to go in the movie, and you're like, what? What's going on? What's going on here? Yeah. Like he has to win. He's Bond. And sure enough, he does, but it really is a more challenging moment than I've ever seen in any Bond movie, where this guy is like, I am going to go ahead and take him away from the equation because this guy might beat me. That's when Lashif's fucking scared.
Yeah. He's a wild animal backed into a corner at his most dangerous. Great.
His girlfriend will do anything. She's just like, whatever. I don't even care if you don't care about me. Yeah.
Valenka. Poor girl.
Wanker.
I think it's cool. I think Lashif is the only person, I can't think of any in the entire Bond franchise who actually beats Bond at cards. Like, that never happens. I can't think of any other instance. So the fact that Bond loses the game, he loses all the money, and then Felix buys him back in. I love that. That Felix is like, you're better than me. You can do this.
Oh yeah. That's one of my favorite lines from the movie is when Lashif shows his two cards and goes, oops. And that's when he beats him. Like, I fucking got you. It's so cool. Oh, it just says oops and shows it. I can't remember what hand that was. I get the hands confused.
I think it was a full house.
Yeah, I think that's when he has a full house of jacks and fucking kings or something. I'm not really sure. And that's just a brilliant, brilliant touch.
Yeah. There's this little moment. I don't remember when it was, but I think it's right about when Felix bows out of the tournament. He just goes, looks like someone knows something I don't. And holds. Cool. And so
Genius.
with Felix's input, I love Bond goes back to the table fully stacked. And it's like, shall we up the blind? Well, I love it. And of course, that comes down to a real showdown between Bond and Le Chiffre, where Bond takes his ass down with a straight flush.
Oh, of spades. Yeah. So fucking cool. Oh, man.
4 to the 8. I remember the fucking hand. I love this movie so much.
Yeah. It's so badass that because you can see Le Chiffre, because he at one point earlier in the movie, when he's playing on his like yacht, and he calls out that it's like a 17. He calls out the percentage of chance of this guy beating him, of this guy having a hand that's better than his.
I have a 2 pair, and you have a 17.4% chance of making your straight.
Correct. Yeah, I love that, and you can see him counting that out in his head while he's playing against Bond. And he's like, okay, there's only so many of these good cards on the table. What the fuck does this guy have? And it's the most rare thing you can get in a fucking Hold'em game. So it's just like, oh man, it's so epic. It's so hard to believe that that this would actually get pulled off, that someone would actually have this hand, but he fucking has it, man. And it is one of the most epic card scenes I've ever seen in any movie, any gambling movie.
Oh, it's perfect. So after that, Le Chiffre obviously is like, well, I'm not walking away, and kidnaps Vesper, and we get that epic car crash with the Aston Martin. I think it broke the Guinness record for the most flips in a car stunt, which is great. And Bond gets captured and tortured with the rope to the nuts. One of the hardest scenes to watch for any man on earth. And I love how Le Chiffre points out, like, I've never understood all these elaborate torture devices. It's the simplest thing to cause a man more pain than he can possibly endure. Like, Christ. Get chills.
Yeah, and he's like, it'll so much so that there will be little left to resemble him being a man. Yeah.
I read a theory that the reason Bond is so willing to sleep with any woman, like, and to hell with the consequences, is because his incident with Le Chiffre here made him impotent.
Yeah, that's very, very possible. Like, there will be no children. I have nothing.
Yeah. The Bond, no way. He got whacked in the nuts like 5 times. No.
I love that though. He's like, to the right, yes. He's like, he starts laughing and he's like, you're a funny man. And he's like, I just think it's funny that you're gonna die because you're scratching my balls or whatever.
Yeah. The whole world's gonna know that you died scratching my balls.
Yeah, so brilliant.
Oh.
That's Bond being like mad, like fucking like Joker mad, just like off his rocker, like,
oh right.
I don't care, I'll do anything. You can't get through me.
In that moment, Bond's like, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm not making it out of here, but I'm not gonna let him win regardless. Like, what a double O right there. That's a double O. Well, the Chief was gonna cut off and feed him his nuts. That was gonna happen before Mr. White showed up. I wonder if privately Bond like ever was like, hey, Mr. White, I just want to thank you for showing up when you did. Like, I know we're on opposite sides of the law here, but respect.
Respect. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh boy. So yeah, nuts. Weird that, the Bond villain dies like halfway through the movie. That's never happened before.
Yeah, just shot straight in the face.
Money isn't as important to our organization as knowing who to trust.
What a great line.
Oh, you don't get it. You're not Spectre material, Le Chiffre. Oh, go back to Quantum with the rest of those bitches. And then basically from there, it's, Bond retiring on the countryside with the woman of his dreams and then realizing she's been playing him the whole time. And it's so devastating because he wants her dead. He says, allow me. But then when faced with her death, he tries to save her because he loves her so much. It's devastating.
Yeah, there's somewhere in him that's like, there's no way. There has to be something bigger, And you think that, Mr. White made a deal to spare his life, and all this convoluted stuff that really makes sense.
Yeah.
There's somewhere in his heart where he's like, there's no way. Like, there has to be something pushing her to act this way, because I know there's like a part of her that loves me too. And it's just, it's tough.
Well, I love when M points out, sometimes we're so focused on our enemies, we forget to watch our friends. It's so profound.
Classic.
And it shapes Bond as a human being. The job's done, the bitch is dead. That's who he is going forward.
Yeah.
It's dark, but it makes sense. He needed this tragedy to finally push him into being the James Bond we know and love.
Oh man, I kind of liked romantic James Bond though for a little bit there.
He was he was resigning. He was gonna just use this $100 million to sail the world with Vesper. That was gonna be his life. Sad.
Very sad. Yeah, they went to Venice and we're just gonna hang out.
Venice.
Yeah.
I always think of Last Crusade whenever Venice. It's him popping out of the sewer grate and just like, Venice.
Yeah.
Here's
couple shout outs to Indiana Jones tonight. Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna see if I can fit in a Temple of Doom before we're done here. Here's some Filmgazm facts. Number 1, this is the first Bond movie where it rains.
What the hell? While he's driving, yeah.
I know, weird. Like, I've never paid attention to that, but yeah, apparently this is the first time in the entire Bond franchise that it rains.
That's insane.
Number 2, this is the first James Bond movie where he failed all of his mission objectives. Le Chiffre died without revealing any information on his network. MI6's money was lost to the terrorist organization, and Vesper also died without revealing anything. They don't learn a damn thing this whole movie. It's completely fruitless.
Hell yeah. I love fruitless movies that are just dark and fucking leave you just crying.
I know, what a bummer. But even, they capture Mr. White, but as we learned at the beginning of Quantum, he gets away and they still don't learn anything.
Yeah, I should have just killed his ass when you had him, Mr. Bond.
True, but then he never would have given him info on Blofeld and Spectre, and he would have never found that.
He would have found a way, by doing something sleazy, but but yeah, I just shoot that guy in the face. He's bad news.
Number 3, Quentin Tarantino was interested in doing a Bond movie featuring the early years of James Bond. That was going to be set in the 60s with Pierce Brosnan returning to the role. They ended up both abandoning the project, so we never got that, but we could have gotten a Quentin Tarantino Casino Royale set in the 60s.
With Brosnan?
Potentially, yeah.
But if it's supposed to be Bond, like, younger, and it's after all the Brosnan movies already, I don't like that. I mean, I would be down for that idea if it was a different actor.
Well, I mean, with Brosnan, they could have done a prequel and you just kind of ignore the fact that he's older, kind of like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Got it.
That's different. That's just 3 years.
I know.
That's just 3 years. But that's great. I'm so glad you fit that in. Classic. Great sequel. I love that idea. I love the idea of a total auteur in the middle of his prime, taking on a franchise and doing something different with it. Probably better because, we get a little movie called Inglourious Basterds in 2009, and I'm sure he was working on that, during that time. I'm sure he was trying to figure out what he was going to do with that movie, which, I mean, Bastards, Casino Royale, give or take, they're both fantastic. I would love to see him use an actor who's like really like in his 20s.
Yeah. Because
that sounds pretty fucking cool. I mean, look what we just saw Tarantino messing with the 60s and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So
I would just love to see a Bond film that doesn't take place now. I mean, we got this whole, why not bring Bond back to the 60s and try to do like, a Cold War espionage movie with James Bond? Like, why does it have to be, now? I mean, I think we should try something like that.
Again, this is, yeah, I agree. I think I think not attaching yourself. I mean, you already spoke on it earlier about how if you're gonna with franchises, you put on these contracts, 4, 5, 6 films. But the advantage of doing something like the Timothy Dalton, like if you did just 2 films, I mean, imagine Idris Elba like in 1980s, like playing Bond 40 years ago. Fuck yeah. Like that sounds perfect. That sounds like something I'd watch right away. Or watch I don't know, fucking Tom Hardy play him in the fucking 50s or 60s. Sure. Like I'm in. I would watch that in a heartbeat. Just as kind of a spin-off type thing, where it's like, hey, we can, like you said, you have decades of stories you can tell. This character was made in 1953, Ian Fleming. So let's use the past 70 years of history and stories to just go there. But I don't know. I'm also a bigger fan of iPhone, all this technology. I think it's more interesting for like action movies and spy movies specifically, to not have all these fucking gadgets that just tell you every fucking thing you need to know. I think there's a little bit more nuance. There's more nuance to a 60s or 70s spy type thriller. So I think you're right, man. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think there's potential here that I think is just that's untapped. The Bond franchise, for some reason, has never faltered in their formula. And I think, with now that Amazon owns it, owns MGM, and I think by default owns the Bond franchise, I think we're going to see some different shit in the next few decades.
That would be awesome. I mean, I'm kind of in no matter what they do. I'll always check out what's going on with Bond. Yeah. He's that kind of character, and I think you have to give it up to Daniel Craig for kind of molding it into what I know it to be, because we were young when this one came out in Casino Royale, and so he's kind of been with us our entire lives as Bond. So 15 years is more than half my life, and he's a big part of what I think when I think Bond. He kind of is what I think.
Yeah, me too, for the most part. My final Filmgazm fact, I just love this. When Bond wins the poker match, he slides a large red chip to the dealer as a tip. That chip is worth $500,000.
Yeah, and the dealer just says, "Thank you."
Yeah, he tips the guy $500,000. That's, oh God, that's a job to aspire to. Is poker dealer to the rich and famous, because they're just going to casually tip you a big red chip. That's crazy. It's life-changing money.
Insanity.
So I wanted to bring this up briefly. Technically speaking, Casino Royale is a remake. The book was loosely adapted in 1967 by a movie that was directed by like 5 different directors, one of whom is John Huston. 1967's Casino Royale is a parody starring David Niven, Woody Allen, Peter Sellers, and several other actors, all playing James Bond for some reason. This movie makes no sense the more I look into it. It sounds terrible. I don't intend to watch it. It was a huge bomb. And I just wanted to bring it up because it exists. I don't know why it exists, but it exists.
Yeah, it's there. It's definitely there. And thank God it's not part of the proper canon,
Oh, God. There's the one that Connery did in the 80s, too, where he remade Thunderball, Never Say Never Again. I have not yet seen that one either.
No, thanks.
Yeah. It's not, it's not the Broccolis, Eon Productions. I don't give a shit. I give Casino Royale a 10. It's my favorite Bond movie. An argument can be made for it to be the best in the entire franchise. It rejuvenated the Bond series, launched Daniel Craig to superstardom. Great movie.
Yeah, I also give it a 10. I've always had it as a 9. Just there's this thing I've gotten over especially after doing these shows, and specifically doing Oscar Sunday, and just kind of getting more confident talking about movies and why you love them. I've gotten over this thing that, a movie has to do something specific to be like perfect in my eyes. And I realized that no, it can come in many different ways. A movie that I see as perfect for me as a viewer, not for everybody, but for me as a viewer, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to conform to like my identity and be exactly for me to be a film that I love. And Casino Royale, there's not a lot of like spy thrillers that are in my upper echelon of movies that are like 10s in my mind, but this one is it. I moved it up from 9 to a 10 last night after watching it, because I just confronted myself. Why do you have to think that, oh, this movie has to be a 10 for me because it's more Austin style. It's more for me. It's like, no, like, just because it's a Bond film and a franchise film doesn't mean I can't call it a 10 and call Quantum of Solace like a 6. It's okay to do that. It's okay to have those differing thoughts just because they're inside of something. And with that being said, it really is one of the only, I love the Lord of the Rings movies, but it's one of the only franchise films that I give that kind of respect to. It really is. I adore it so much. And watching it last night, I was just completely floored by it. And I don't own any of the Bond films because I'm like, oh, if I have one, I probably need to buy them all. And that's coming up on 25. But goddamn, I need to own Casino Royale just so I know I can pop it in the player no matter what happens, because it's that good.
I won $200 in Vegas and decided to buy the James Bond Blu-ray collection with it.
That's genius.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of cards. I gambled and I got $200 and I'm going to spend it on some fucking badass shit. Yeah.
Well, it was the Wheel of Fortune penny slots, but still.
Hey, next time say blackjack. Yeah. I swear to God, I was playing cards.
Yeah. In regards to, what you said about the franchise, I mean, this is a franchise that's 25 films strong. They're not all going to be 10s. No. And like, to me, there's only 2 10s in the Bond franchise to me, and that's Casino Royale and Goldfinger. The rest of them range between, 5 and 9. Nothing's dipped below a 5. But I wonder if No Time to Die is going to be a third 10. I think that would be amazing. I think that's a lot to aspire to, so I got to lower my expectations a bit.
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. Oh, well, thanks for listening, everyone. This was really fun. Next week, the cycle is once again interrupted, this time by Michael Myers himself. Next Friday is the long-awaited release of Halloween Kills. So obviously, we're going to revisit 2018's Halloween. 40 years after the events of the original Halloween, Michael Myers breaks out of Smith's Grove once again, but this time a shell-shocked, battle-hardened Laurie Strode is waiting for him. As Michael terrorizes Haddonfield for a second time, Laurie hunts him down to end the boogeyman for good. I love Halloween 2018, and it felt right to talk about it next week for Halloween Kills. If Kills hadn't come out this October, we would have done Season of the Witch, but of course we're going to pair these two. So yeah, buckle up. It's going to be so much fun going into 2018's Halloween. Also, don't miss the Oscar-winning Bond adventure Skyfall on Oscar Sunday and No Time to Die on Monday's sneak preview. Bond week.
It is Bond week. That's for sure. And it deserves that. It deserves that praise. We love this shit. 15 years of making good movies.
Hell yeah. And if you feel free to follow us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Filmgazm Productions. You can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com if you've got suggestions, want to see certain movies, want to just ask us about something. Always open to chat. And we thank you for your patronage. If you're donating to the show, thank you so much. If you're listening to the show, thank you so much. We love you.
Hell yeah.
In the meantime, go have yourself a martini and keep watching movies.